if you if you want to be understood, entrepreneurship is probably not the route for you. Notoriously, entrepreneurs, guys, are misunderstood. It's just who we are. And like a good artist, they're appreciated after their time. Do you know what I mean? So there's as I've been spending a lot of time studying this, and the research we've done, the empirical evidence actually shows us three things. The first is that if you can survive what we call business, you're probably going to make it. And that 999 days is about 3 years, give or take a few days. Just 999 days. So for those of you here with ideas as you're starting, those of you here who are running, you know that in that first 999 days, it's very, very difficult. Yeah? The reason is simple. It's because there's nothing there. You're building everything. See this building we're in. I love architecture, right? And I love buildings. But this building we're in is incredible, isn't it? Because we're all in it, and none of us here have a doubt of mind that it will hold us safely. Yeah, none of us here have thought about whether or not the things above us could collapse on our heads. The reason is because the foundation of this building is so well set. So the most important part of the building is the part of the building we don't see. That's so powerful. I'm going to let you guys think about it for like 2 minutes. I'm just going to let you guys I'm going to let you marinate in my wisdom. No, I'm joking. So when you build your business, the most important parts of building your business are the parts nobody sees. Nobody sees. I can tell you now that probably what I spend 80% of my time doing is the stuff you guys don't know about. It's completely quiet. And it's the stuff you'll probably never know about. But without that stuff, I can't do the magic. The magic can't happen, right? So where a lot of us lose it in that first 999 days, and I want you to remember it, is you've got to focus on building your foundation. That foundation is critical. Foundation is critical. Okay. Without it, it doesn't matter how nice that building is, it'll fall. When the rains come, it will fall. And so for each of us as entrepreneurs, that foundation is critical. And the foundation starts with you, it starts here. Yeah. You can't build it unless you build you. Yeah? True story. For the first 7-8 years of my public speaking career, I had a pre-stage song. It was the same song every time I went on stage. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in a limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. You guys know the song I'm talking about? Yeah. Biggie Smalls, right? So I watched the Biggie Smalls movie when it came out. And there's a beautiful part in the movie where Biggie Smalls is talking to Puff Daddy. And Puff says to him, "Biggie, we're going to change the world, G. We're going to change the world." And Biggie looks at him and says, "You can't change the world if you don't change yourself." Yeah. So a business is the thing you leave for the world. It's a manifestation of you, your ideas, your creativity, your thoughts. But if you're not okay, it'll never be okay. And so a lot of us, and in my earlier days, I used to judge people. Now I've learned that actually judgment is weak. You rather exercise empathy, not judgment. Seek first to understand before you ridicule. I then started thinking about, I watch how we do things, especially as those of us who've just started in business, predominantly black people. And the reason is because we do come from a past where you couldn't own a business. Now we can. And we can own big ones, successful ones. We can kick ass. And then I started watching the things we do when we do own big ones and successful ones. And I was like, why do we spend our money this way? Why do we buy these things? Why do we gather at these places so that old men with bellies can get young girls without bellies? And then a few months later, the old man with a belly leaves the girl with a belly and finds another one. Shit. I'm on fire today. Fire, fire. Blaze. So, remember that thing, build a foundation? Critical. The best way to build a foundation is go in here. Okay? So that's the first thing I just wanted to say. The second thing I want to say is, like building a building, you've got to build scaffolding, right? You've seen when buildings go up, they put up a scaffolding around it. And the scaffolding does a couple of things, but the main thing it does is it ensures that the people who are building upon the foundation are safe to build upon the foundation. Most of us here run businesses that just don't have scaffolding. So if you're not in the business, it can't run. If you're not at work, there is no work. For those people, you're not really an entrepreneur. You're what we call self-employed. There is, although subtle, a critical difference. You see, the entrepreneur creates systems that enable him to remove himself from the business so he can be somewhere else. The self-employed person builds the business so that it can support usually a lifestyle. But absent of them in the business, there's no business. Notoriously over the past 25 years, especially us, this is where we've failed. This is exactly where we've failed. We haven't yet learned how to build the scaffolding so that this building can stand even when the engineers are not here, even when the architects are gone. And that all it needs is a few maintenance people to make sure that it's running. Okay?
Every single one of the people who are here today, you have to start thinking in terms of certain dreams, certain wishes, certain goals, whether it's career objectives. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a businessman. The critical issue that all of us must leave here today is the total belief, absolute belief, that through hard work, determination, perseverance, you will indeed succeed. You will realize, every single one of you, in terms of where you want to go, what you want to achieve. The most successful people in the world, if you listen to their stories, they are like all of you. Poor background, humble beginnings, but with a huge amount of determination, and it has to do with hard work. So it's critically important that we leave here today with an understanding that this country, this continent, I mean, we see this all the time. I see this all the time, whether it's in New York or London or Los Angeles or China or Brazil or India, that young people like you go to university because it starts with education. And many of them start off by thinking, I either want to be an employee because I have the capacity to employ other people, and others pursue a career. But the critical thing is, we've got 300 million young people on the African continent between the ages of 15 and 25. We have to give a future, create a future for every single one of them, because if those young people do not have a future, the African continent doesn't have a future. So my grandfather was an entrepreneur. He owned a shop, a business in a rural area where even today still there's no running water. My father was an entrepreneur. My father used to wake us up 5 o'clock in the morning. We would go to the Pretoria market, because we had a fruit shop as well, and buy fruits and vegetables. And I used to go to Metro and later Macro, and we used to go to all of these shops, buy goods and services. So I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. But the big problem, I remember, every time when we came back from boarding school, because we went to a boarding school very, very far from home. And when we came back from boarding school, I told my father that, many of the young boys, I think I was 7 or 8, many of the young boys, when we come back from home, they tell me they went to Durban, because Durban was the place to be at that time. And they say they went on holiday or they visited their uncle. And I said, but we never go on holiday. I mean, when I come from boarding school, I have to stand behind the counter if I don't go to the market and do some of the buy which we like because it would go outside. I have to stand behind the counter from 5 o'clock in the morning when people go to work, and then until 12 o'clock at night when they come back from work. So I said, I don't want to spend the rest of my life standing behind the counter. It was stressful. So I started looking for careers. And I thought, should I become a doctor? I didn't like the sight of blood. So I said, hey, I'll be a hopeless. And that's how I ended up with law and became very passionate about law. But also you must understand, we were a different generation, period. And I enjoyed law, but I always knew that entrepreneurship, starting businesses, building businesses, getting partnerships. And the issue that I also learned is, two things. At a young age, I was told the customer is always right. The customer is always right. So I would stand behind the counter and somebody would say, I want Coca-Cola. And I would say to them, why don't you have Pepsi? No, I want Coca-Cola. Now, they tasted the same for me, but it taught me that follow the desires, the preferences of the customers. And what is more important is, and also focus on profitability, critically important. To America, to work in America, I was amazed because there were people in the firm I practiced with who said, but we think you've got special qualities. And I looked behind me to see who are they talking about, And they said, no, but you've got potential, you are bright, and the firm I was with. So all of us must continue to give every single young person in this country, give them a sense of confidence, a sense of self-belief, a sense of hope. Absolutely. And I've got no doubt that many of these young people will be amongst the most successful entrepreneurs, and those who want to pursue careers will be amongst the most successful careers that this country and this continent has ever seen. Yeah. When I started my businesses, we bought mines that everybody said, but how can this guy buy mines that are unprofitable, that are marginal, that are old, that are being closed? And the president of the mine workers, they had about 350,000 workers at the time. He was a very good friend. But we knew what we were doing. We knew that we had a method of running this business at the heart of which was a partnership with the workers. And we could not pay them what the big mining companies were paying them. We were paying them a little bit less, but we guarantee them, assure them, that based on profitability, they would share in the profits and they would make more money than what they earned previously. So in conclusion, there are times when you are trying to start a business or pursue a career and you are starting it and it's failing. Or not only is it failing, many people around you and people who care for you say, but this thing is going nowhere. You shouldn't do that. Because others tried it and it didn't succeed. My message is keep looking at it, persevere, because the world is full of exceptionally successful people who, despite problems and difficulties and failures, kept at it and succeeded over time. So I'm absolutely confident that keep hope alive, be optimistic, stay positive, believe in yourself, and believe in the capacity of what you are pursuing and the potential for what you're pursuing to succeed. You've got to move from thinking and planning and preparing to starting, to implementing, to making things happen. And don't get discouraged if you fail. I've had so many failures in my life and have made so many mistakes, and I always pray that I don't make the same mistake again, because hopefully when you make a mistake, you want to learn from that mistake. But the key issues, and I know that I'm going to make many other mistakes in future, but that should never discourage you. Right. You've got to have a sense of self-belief and self-confidence, and just open that restaurant, start that app, start that grocery store, start that agricultural business you want to start with and get going. You want to start a new business and they'll say to you, it will not succeed. Because there's so much competition, there are companies that have been there longer than you, more money, more infrastructure. and more resources. But if you look at the most successful entrepreneurs, but also the most successful professionals, whether it's doctors, lawyers, scientists, engineers, teachers, nurses, the common factor is determination to work hard, to sacrifice, and to pursue the fulfillment of their dreams. Without a doubt, we have to live a good life. That's very important. And part of a good life is we've got to earn good money. And the key to working good money, or earning good money, when you are young, starts with education.
Right.
I remember when I was a student, during the year when everybody else was studying, I was at times going to parties. Not very smart, because you should be studying. And when the exam comes, a few months before the exam, when those who've been working are sleeping, I would be up at night because I've got to catch up. So the key issue is that every one of us here today, every one of our young people, the most important thing for now and where you are now is get an education and study. The most important thing is to be happy at what you're doing. There are many. I'll give you an example. There's a professor who studied with me at university. Lots of integrity, good person, very loyal and hardworking. And 5 years after I started African Rainbow Minerals, I went to him and I said, "How much do you earn?" And he said to me, "I'm earning $7,000 a month." I said, "Whoa. How are you doing with the $7,000? He said, I would like more money, but the 7,000 is what I earn. I said to him, "I will pay you $14,000 a month. And in fact, I said, I'll pay you $20,000 a month. Come and work with me." Well, let me tell you what is even more important. And he said to me, I want you to keep our conversation just between the two of us. What he taught me, he said to me, "Patrice, I've been a lecturer for the last 20 years. And I see these students who come to this university, some very average, some uninspired, some don't know, their parents force them to come to university. And I work hard to make them special students, excellent students." He said the joy I get and the fulfillment I get from seeing a student who was undirected, no ambition, no hunger, at the end of the year, very committed, hardworking, enthusiastic about the future, gives me so much fulfillment, more fulfillment than the money I could get for the more money.
Right.